Oh, welcome back, folks. Oh boy, we missed out on the fourth object. So, I guess we'll start off with, we're not really getting a whole lot of word from Washington at the moment, so, like, pressure's mounting on Biden to, like, he's been kind of silent on this whole thing. People are freaking out, especially the fact that, we're shooting objects out of the sky and we're not getting much word on that. We've got several objects that we've shot down. So the first one being the Chinese balloon on the 4th of February. That was the first one that was shot down at near Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And then the second one, unknown object, basically just the unknown UAP. That was shot down near Dead Horse, Alaska, near the most northern point of Alaska. And then the third one within the Yukon territory of Canada, kinda somewhat close to the Alaskan border, but and the fourth object, which I think was spotted the same day that they shot down the one in Yukon. It was spotted over Montana. Again, another object over Montana. And this time it was headed towards Lake Huron, Michigan. That's where they shot it down. This object, though, the fourth one, was an octagon shape with strings or whatnot leading off of it. That was that object. So, with that being said, what are these objects? Are these, obviously it would all be classified under UAP report. It would be all classified under all the I guess the current UAP report. I don't know if that would be for next year's report. I don't know if they're gonna mention these incidents. And I guess one thing to note here, between the U.S. and China. So, funny little bit about Elon Musk, though, real fast. So, Elon Musk addressed the UFO reports. The Twitter CEO said that his extraterrestrial friends are stopping by. So, Elon Musk, the SpaceX and Twitter CEO, referred on Sunday to a rash of UFO reports as his alien friends visiting Earth. A series of unidentified objects that have been seen, that have been spotted around the world since the U.S. shot down an alleged Chinese surveillance balloon. Don't worry, the billionaire tweeted. Just some of my alien friends of mine stopping by. So, earlier on Sunday, North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, shut down a sector of airspace above Lake Michigan, lifting it shortly afterwards. The restriction came less than a day after NORAD closed off airspace over central Montana in response to a supposed radar anomaly. Further north on Sunday, the U.S. fighter jet shot down an unidentified and unmanned aircraft over Canada. That was object number 3. Obviously, the radar anomaly here in central Montana and even Lake Huron, here on the map. Right here. That was number 4. Number 1 was down here. But Further north on Saturday, U.S. fighter jets shot down an unidentified unmanned aircraft over Canada. A similar object was shot down over Alaska on Friday. That's number 2. While a Chinese balloon was downed on the coast of South Carolina last Saturday. That was number 1. U.S. officials referred to the latter object as a Chinese surveillance balloon, while Beijing insisted that it was a civilian airship which veered off course. Now, that alone right now is probably causing quite a bit of headache in the White House. I suppose that's probably why Biden has not said anything. They're probably trying to prepare something. If they're even trying to, right now, first things first is find out what these 3 other objects, what their origin was. Were these weather balloons that maybe perhaps our side put up without actually announcing that we put them up? I don't know. The octagon shape with the strings leading off of it was kind of an odd, I was not expected to hear that last night right before bed. Which is probably why I didn't get too much good sleep. I have all this shit running through my mind. And that leads us kind of into, so China shot back at the U.S. for the spy balloon claims. So the U.S. high-altitude balloons have violated Chinese airspace more than 10 times since January 2022 alone, a Chinese diplomat has claimed. Washington recently accused Beijing of spying on nations on 5 continents with its aircraft. Wang Weibin, a spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, made the allegations against the U.S. during a daily briefing on Monday. He was asked by Western journalists about Washington's accusation that China flew spy balloons over other nations, including the U.S. So a Chinese balloon was shot down by the Air Force earlier this month, had strayed off course due to force majeure. Wang stated that the spokesperson described the use of force by the U.S. as an overreaction, before accusing the U.S. of abusing advanced technologies in its possession to conduct indiscriminate surveillance and espionage operations around the world, including against its own allies. So, Wang recalled Obama-era revelations about the NSA's mass electronic surveillance program and the tapping of phones used by leaders of European nations, such as Germany, to argue that the U.S. should be considered the world's biggest spy and surveillance empire. I find that interesting that they're saying that. But, you make your own assumptions on that. U.S. National Security Council spokesman Irene Watson called the allegation false and reiterated Washington's accusation that Beijing ran a system of global surveillance using their high-altitude balloons. So on and so forth. So both sides are currently arguing. So this is probably why we haven't received word from Biden yet. There's probably a lot of people right now trying to pick their words carefully so they don't indiscriminately declare war on another nation. That would not be good indeed, in my opinion anyway. Considering how intertwined both of our economies are, it would absolutely devastate the both of us if we were to go to war with each other. So, the issue led to a heated exchange during the daily briefing at Foggy Bottom last Thursday, when spokesman Ned Price declined to explain what evidence the allegations were based on. So, AP correspondent Matt Lee remarked that the lack of transparency made it look like you guys are conducting exactly the same kind of surveillance these other countries that you're accusing the Chinese of doing over yours. Prince rejected the assertion and replied that the U.S. government could not reveal sources or methods or weaken our defense against a program like this by doing so. So, we're on both sides here. We're arguing, not helping really. So, and that kind of leads us into just what a confrontation between China and the U.S. would look like. And that's actually just, if anything, just the thought of confrontation between China and the U.S. is just so strange. Considering the fact that trade is booming as military tensions increase. And where is all this headed? And I kind of want to leave it up to you guys to decide where these things are going up. Comment down below where you think, we're headed. Are we headed towards confrontation? Are we not? I think we are. It's getting obvious day by day, hour by hour that, we're gearing up. China's gearing up for war. We're gearing up for war. We're shooting shit out of the sky, and they're looking at shooting shit out of their sky. So, are we gonna have what is this gonna be? Some weird balloon wars going on? Is that going to be a footnote in the history, guys? The great balloon wars of 2023 are here, and so I mean, other than that, one thing to note that looking at Chinese state media is not helping either, because Chinese state media is actually looking like it's mirroring U.S. media. So we've got the U.S. and their media looking pretty bad at this whole thing, and we got the Chinese state media looking pretty bad at this on their side of things too. So both sides are blaming each other, and possibly not helping. So I wonder if we're already accusing China of these three other unknown objects, UAPs, as we would call them. So we can, they didn't really describe any of these objects clearly. In fact, I think one report from the pilots up at Dead Horse, Alaska, for object number 2, that's what I'll call it, object number 2, on the 10th of February, where the pilots stated that the object, that each pilot said something different. So there was no real clear, they didn't get, I guess, a clear picture on what this object was. And that kind of goes to what I said previously about, how do we know what we're shooting down? Can we confirm what we're shooting down before we shoot at it? Or are they going to go the old American route and just, shoot first, ask questions later? In this case, maybe never ask, I'm asking questions here. It doesn't seem that they're asking, then again, we don't know, this is still very much in development. The only word I got that they're actually hunting down the debris would be on the second object. I don't know about the third object, and I'm not 100% sure on the fourth. Obviously, they're probably trying to collect everything that they can on all of these objects. Or UAPs, as I would collect it. So we can possibly assume that, we'll go back and we'll look at some of the footage here on So here we'll look at some of the footage here on the objects that this is the unedited Navy gimbal video. This is the gimbal video. I believe this is one that was shot off the East Coast. I don't know if this was Commander Fravor's incident. So,
Dude, this is a fucking drone, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
alright, so you notice he said that there's like a bunch of them that were up on the SA. That I was, you know, like, so if they spotted a bunch of these on their instruments and they were all going in against the wind with no propulsion flares or whatever you'd call it. So, you know, in this object, I think you can see towards the end here where it turns.
That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not, dude.
So right here you see that he's got the object boxed. And
It's rotated.
oh, it was rotating for him, but so here he's got the IR.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh.
I wish I knew what I was looking at on the tack screen here. But alright, so that's degree marker. I'm assuming, I don't know if that's his degree on a compass or...
They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
129 knots to the west. I'm assuming this is the outside ambient temperature, so -2 degrees. I wonder if is that Fahrenheit or Celsius? Would they use Celsius on perhaps the targeting computer, which is what this is? Because he's got the object box. Because there was one video where, I'm not sure, I think it was one of the Tic Tac videos, where they were thrilled that they even boxed the moving target. And so
That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is the LNS, dude. Well, if there's like another thing,
so then
it's
here,
rotated.
so it rotated, and then there was another one. This one here. I think this was one of the Tic Tac videos. He's got this one boxed as well. And this is a really, this is a really poor video quality. You know, that's YouTube for you. So, and then looks like he's zooming in on it. He's boxed it again. Now, and since they're not saying much about these two other objects, I'm quite curious because he's got it targeted here. You know, he's targeted on his displays here. I'm wondering, since they didn't, I don't know if they knew if they targeted them back. I'm wondering if these objects recently, if they targeted them, I'm wondering if one or more of them maybe not painted them back. That could be very possible. So, and then it kind of disappears, and there it goes flying off.
Dude, this is a fucking drone, bro.
And it's the gimbal video again.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
I think the first one, if I'm...
That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is the LNS, dude. Well, if there's like another thing, it's rotated.
And then here's another one. There's the object. So he's tracking it.
Nickel 6-1 Tango Apology.
Now see...
They're troubleshooting as soon as I get
Did you box moving target?
here too.
No, I took an auto track. Okay. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow.
Alright, so he headed on the Omnitrack, or is that what he said? You have to excuse. So, and that was, I do find it interesting,
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm editing my video with the War 9.
What kind of YouTube?
whatever. So, and I find it interesting that they all used all four of these incidents, UAP incidents, or events. I have to look at the definitions again. I do find it interesting that all four of these incidents, they used the AIM-9X Sidewinders, which, I mean, yeah, it makes kind of sense. It's probably one of the most utilitarian missile you've got. But I guess some quick facts about the AIM-9X Sidewinder. It's a short-range, air-to-air. It was, I think, first developed. I think the type of design was first developed back in '52. I think the AIM-9X, I think they first started production in '56. They got three main manufacturers. So Raytheon makes them. I think they make the bulk of them, but you got Ford Aerospace makes a bunch, which I thought was kind of interesting. I didn't know the Ford Motor Company had an aerospace division that made missiles. And then the Laurel Corporation makes them as well. So I think the Laurel Corporations, I think they're mostly, I don't know, we can find out real quick. All right, so they're a U.S. company. 96, defunct in 96. So I guess that's right. They got bought out by Lockheed Martin. Oh Jesus. But they cost between $381,000 to about $399,000. So they're not cheap. They got they weigh about 188 pounds, or about 83 kilograms. They're about 3 meters long. But it uses its warhead is a WDU-17B annular blast fragmentation, which is probably the most effective thing against these balloons, which is probably why they were using them. So it's like a continuous rod warhead or angular blast fragmentation. It's a very simple concept. So you'd have the warhead itself as like a rod, and then you put little rods around. You'd weld little rods around the explosive charge, so that when you were to shoot it at your target, either by impact or proximity sensors, it would explode, but the thus explosion would not be significantly large. It's the blast radius of the rods of which were shot outwards. So it would shoot out in a circular pattern, as indicated here by this picture. So they'd weld, they'd alternate welds on the rods themselves around the explosive charge. And then when it exploded, it would just send these rods out, and just the force of that, as well as the rods still moving very fast towards the object, you'd have your annular blast in a cylinder. So the even number of individual steel rods are arranged in a parallel form to the cylinder, and the ends of the rods are welded together. The first rod and the second rods are welded together at the top, second and third on the bottom, so on and so forth, all the way around the form. So, and we've been using this like for years. So this is not old. This is old technology, but it's still very effective technology. So when detonated, the high explosive imparts momentum to the rods, thrusting them outward in an expanding circle. the pressure wave from the explosive needs to act evenly on the rods over their length. So some sort of a tamper is used to shape the shock wave, similar to that of an explosive lens. Yada, yada, yada. Science and physics goes a long way into that. But it's still very effective to shoot, instead of just a rate like just a regular explosion, the rods penetrating your target is probably a lot, probably more efficient. So we don't need to go into all the history of the dang thing. They've made dozens of the different types. So the AIM 9X is the current one of which we're using. Now, I don't know if we're probably using the Block 2s, maybe not so much the Block 3s. I'm not sure on that. But Hughes Electronics, which was awarded the contract for development of the 9X Sidewinder in '96 after competition against Raytheon for the next short-range aerial combat missile. Though Raytheon initially purchased the defense portions of Hughes Electronics the following year, the AIM 9X entered service back in November of 2003 with the U.S. Air Force. The lead platform was the F-15C. Now I guess we're just putting them on everything. So you got it features an imaging infrared focal plane array, which is on the lens itself, and it's also very compatible with helmet-mounted displays such as the new U.S. Joint Helmet Mounting Cueing System, which I think is this one. This is the one, helmet-mounted display system for the F-35. This is actually pretty cool, though. Which, I mean, that looks more modern than anything else that we've got. So I think this is the one we're currently using. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. I think that is. So this is like the one. I think this is either a newer one or one that we're currently using. But this is. I don't like. This looks way too fancy even for us. Even for the U.S. So, I don't know. But that's the missile that we shot at it. That's pretty. So yeah. So yeah, this whole thing has got me kind of confused. Like February, has kind of been a busy year for us. Between F-22s, F-35s, and F-16s shooting down ET up there, in the sky, it kind of worries me a little bit. What are they not telling us? That's what I really want to know more. Like, all the information we got on, mostly got on other things. But what are they not telling us? Do we, like, I'm assuming maybe they do know already. That's probably why they haven't said anything. I don't know. If you have a theory, go ahead, leave that down in the comment section down below. I'm more open on a lot of things now, especially since number 4 got down last night. Who knows? Who knows? But with that, that's all I got. So, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Later, folks.